a negative thought doesn't actually do anything until you give it your energy or you give it your attention. If you believe in it, if you buy it, that's where you're giving it the creative power then to shape your reality, right? So the same thing could be said about positive thoughts, right? So if I'm changing my relationship with my negative thoughts, my ruminating thoughts, my self-defeating thoughts, if I'm doing all of that, then my relationship shift is that I no longer am giving those thoughts my belief. So our beliefs can change, but that's also going to influence our thinking. My relationship changing is in essence my changing my belief. If I have a belief that I'm unworthy or like I can't do it or that things won't change or good things never happen for me, for example, and I change that belief, right? I question that belief, therefore I change it. I'm changing my perspective. I'm changing my relationship with it. Like that's the only thing that we have positive influence over. Because if you judge your negative thoughts, you're just adding negative energy to the thought. It'd be like, I'm frustrated because I'm frustrated. I'm angry because I'm angry. I'm down because I'm having negative thoughts. I'm upset because I have negative thoughts. My negative thoughts are making me upset, and I'm upset that I'm having them. And then I'm upset because I'm upset because I'm upset. All right, so we're changing the relationship from a negative one to an accepting one. Like that's the only thing that we can do, right? And that comes from the power of being, in essence, the point of the question was to get us in the like the mindset or the frame of mind of being in creative energy. It's to put us in a position of understanding that we are actually projecting our intention, right? And when we do that consciously, we are shaping and shifting our reality. Before that, things are just happening. Before that, things are just coming at me. Before that, I didn't have a choice at all. Or if I thought I had a choice, I had to fight the negative thinking. I had to fight the ruminating thoughts. I had to change my behavior. I had to effort. I had to conform. I had to power through. I had to, in so many ways, obey. I had to do any of those things as an example. So it's a very powerful shift, but the shift is coming from changing your relationship, which is a changing in the shift of your being, right? A confident like if you wanted to be a confident person, how could I change my life? What's one thing in my life that I'd want to see change? I want to be a confident person. I want to be a more loving person. I want to be a more positive person. What does a positive person do? What does a confident person do? How do they live their life? How do they see themselves? How do they think? Because the answer is already kind of brought to you in the question. It's like, oh, of course, they're not going to beat themselves up. They're not going to judge themselves. They're not going to, you know, think on the negative side. They're not going to answer to those thoughts or those beliefs that are fear based or negative based, right? Or they're going to reduce the amount. They're going to be more aware of those thoughts. They're going to be more excuse me, they're going to be more conscious when those thoughts come up and not be reacted to them. They're going to be more mindful, right? And none of those things have anything to do with stopping the negative thoughts or the ruminating thoughts, right? So we don't have to worry about that because as soon as we pay attention to those thoughts and we give them a negative perception, right? We're giving them energy. The thoughts are causing my problem. The thoughts are causing my current state of reality, right? Or again, the other example, my job is causing me the problem. It's causing my current state of reality. It's just reinforcing the same thing. But from the state of being, If I'm a confident person, if I'm a more positive person, if I'm a more go with the flow person, well, naturally, I'm going to go with the flow of my thoughts and I'm not going to give them power. And it's also important too that there's acceptance. And we're talking about being a more, in this case, you're being a more accepting person. Doesn't mean I like my negative thoughts. It doesn't mean that I'm tolerant of them necessarily, from the standpoint that I have to eradicate it. But I am accepting the fact that I'm a human being. Like I'm having this experience. I'm having the same experience that all human beings have. Every human being deals with negative thinking that influences them, whether they're aware of it or not, right? In some form, either I'm talking to myself in a negative way or I'm projecting it outward and I'm talking to other people in a negative way, right? Or I'm judging them, right? I'm projecting that negativity onto something outside of me. I'm blaming it. I'm blaming me. I'm blaming myself. Blaming me, or I'm blaming the outside or the other, right? So it's a human experience. There is no getting away from it. There is no tapping out. There is no, you can try to take pills. You could drink to try to turn your mind off, and that's effective to some degree, but it's not gonna get you to where you ultimately want to go, right? How do I want my life to change? If I could change one thing in my life, like what would I want to see different? Like doing all those quick fixes is not going to do that. Like if it stops the thinking, that's one thing. But it's not shaping it's not changing your relationship. It's not shifting your perspective, right? It's not putting you into another state of being. Now I'm just an avoidant person. Maybe I was a negative person and then I drank and now I'm just an avoidant person, right? Avoidant people don't face their problems, right? Oh, I don't want to be an avoidant person. I don't want to be that person. Okay. Well, and then the other part of this too is that I think it's also important, and as we change our relationship with those negative thoughts and we move into a different perspective and a different state of being, we want to understand that the problem that we're experiencing through the through the experience, through the felt state of being that's negative, right? Like I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling a negative emotion. Um, I'm not happy. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm depressed. I'm having my state of being in a way where it's not desirable. Well, in a way, what we're doing when we change our relationship with those negative thoughts or those negative beliefs that we have is that the only way that we're having that negative experience is if the person that I am, right, the person that you are cannot be negatively charged or polarized. You have to be a positively polarized and charged person predominantly to have a negative feeling experience be displeasurable, right? So if I'm feeling rageful and I'm not wanting that experience, it's because it's contrasting my actual state of being, even though it's very subconscious in that moment, but it's positive. I want to get away from this. I want to not have this experience. I mean, even when we're really angry and get pissed off and like, like if you're projecting your anger onto something or somebody, like you don't want it. It's not something that you desire, right? So the the aspect that's predominantly you, which your pure consciousness is positively polarized, is feeling disharmony. It's going congruent, or sorry, it's going against rather to who you actually are, right? So like this is especially helpful when I'm having negative thoughts about myself, right? And I'm wanting those thoughts to stop, or I'm wanting those ruminating thoughts to stop. If I'm a bad person, if I am a lazy person, if I am an ineffective or incompetent person, and those are negative thoughts, and I don't want to have them, well, it goes to show that I'm actually not that person. Because if you were as bad as you thought that you were, If you were as bad of a person as those thoughts might be telling you, or ineffective, or inadequate, then you probably wouldn't care. You just go on with life. It doesn't mean at all that there's a level of acceptance that, hey, there's parts of me when I'm acting negatively, or I'm behaving a certain way, that I can recognize, like, that's not desirable, but that's part of me when I get a certain way. And when you accept that and you go with the flow with that, you actually naturally just depolarize it that way. Like, I can be a real jerk. It can be really hard to deal with and live with. Like, just accepting that depolarizes those negative thoughts and beliefs. But I'm a good person. I don't like when I act this way. Well, someone's talking to you, like, yeah, I don't either. I still love you. So the relationship shift is that I'm bringing a accepting and positive outlook and acceptance on my natural human nature of being at times difficult or negative. So now I'm bringing it up to the surface. Now it's conscious. It's no longer driving my subconscious thoughts and beliefs, or I'm trying to stay away from it. I'm trying to prove that I'm not this person. I don't have to do that anymore, because I'm in a place where I'm accepting it. So that naturally depolarizes those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs. I'm shifting that perspective in that way, right? And I can do all of this without stopping any of the negative beliefs, any of the negative thoughts. And in fact, it's actually required that you cannot get to a place where you have a new relationship with your negative thoughts or beliefs until you accept the fact that you have those thoughts and beliefs, right? And if we don't learn that, we just keep coming around to it again. Here it comes again. Here it comes again, right? Another chance to try, another chance to get over the hump. Another, like, that's what life keeps doing, keeps reflecting back your thoughts, situations, circumstances that you don't like. It'll keep showing you, here's what's inside of you, here's what you believe. And it's giving you a chance to bring that stuff up and accept it. Same thing with the feelings. Accept it, recognize it, depolarize it. You're reconciling with it. You're bringing in acceptance. You can't get to a place where you make any type of significant progress until you go to that step of accepting your human nature in this. So I guess there's good news and bad news with that. The good news is that that's the direction, allowing yourself to be human, right? But the bad news is that you have to go through it, and you have to face it, and you have to deal with it, and you have to, like, you gotta stop believing. I gotta change my perspective. I gotta change my relationship with my beliefs. That's what I have to change. My job needs to change. Well, maybe it's the belief that you can't create a new job that matches what you want. I want a more fulfilling life. I want a more fulfilling job that will help that fulfilling life. I want a more fulfilling career. I want to do more what I want to do, right? Who doesn't want that? It's a very common thing for people to want. Okay. And if my relationship with my thoughts shift from that can't happen because to that is possible, then I'm already creating that new reality. You'll probably feel it in your body, because if you are in a new relationship with your thinking, and now your thoughts are positively oriented or possibility oriented into what you want, then how would your internal state of being not shift? Like, how how could I even feel negative or, like, down, right? If I shifted my belief and I went into my body and I'm like, yeah, man, that shifted my mood. All of this is possible. And it doesn't mean I'm going to see it shift right now, but just holding open that possibility, holding up that curiosity, shifted my relationship with those thoughts and beliefs, right? How do I know? Because my internal reality shifted in my emotions and my state of being. So what do you think is going to happen over time if I'm more in that space? Like, do you think that your outside is not going to reflect that? Do you think that you're not going to start creating possibilities in your life that reflect your new state of awareness, your new relationship with your thoughts? No, those things are gonna change. So even when we're looking at people that we see or we're comparing to that have a state of being that we'd like to be, whatever that looks like, calm, rational, friendly, kind, financially abundant, confident, whatever that is. One, you don't know what that person's going through. And two, their outlook on their beliefs, their relationship with their beliefs has to be different. It's not like they got into a different relationship and then therefore all of a sudden they're just relationally more inclined, or that they were a depressed person and then all of a sudden they got a new house and they were also all of a sudden they were no longer depressed. Like that's not actually what's going on. That's not how it works. So those people have a different state of being. They're not doing anything, right? There is no like mathematical equation to get what they have. If I see them and I want their thing that I see them having, it's really just their state of being. If I looked at someone who runs marathons, and I'm personally that I don't want that, but I know some people who do. Some of you guys do. But let's say that I did. I wouldn't look at them and say like, "Oh, I need to run a marathon for me to be in that place where I'm excited about training and taking on that challenge, where I'm taking care of my body in certain ways, where I'm having the discipline to get up early in the morning and run all those miles. I can I can be that. What does that person have as their state of being? Well, they're going to probably get up early tomorrow and start training. They're going to start paying attention to what they consume because they're that person. So I could get up tomorrow. If I'm entering that state of being, I can start paying attention to what I eat tonight, what time I go to bed. Obviously, what I do is going to not be running a marathon. I'm going to be running a few miles, maybe. But it's the shift. It's anti or antithetical to what our conditioning has taught us.